For example, when RioCan first tried to establish a large format store, they went in and just simply asked for what's known as a variance. It went to the community adjustment, said we just want a building that's a little bit bigger than permitted, but we're going to put in basically the same store they're proposing now. The community went to the committee of adjustment at the City Hall, which is not a body that we sit on, it's a body which council appoints. It deals with minor planning matters because they were applying as a minor planning change. And they said, look, this is not a minor planning change. It's not zoned for large format retail. And therefore, you need a rezoning. And the community adjustment agreed. It was appealed to the OMB in one of the rare instances at City Hall. The OMB actually backed the city. They told RioCan, no, you can't get a minor variance to get your store in there. You have to go back and rezone the land, which means you give a new legal definition as to what's allowable or not allowable. And so RioCan has now come back and filed the rezoning application, and they're asking for a switch on that side of Bathurst Street away from local small businesses only into large format regional businesses as a permitted use. If that goes ahead, RioCan will, as of right, be able to move in as a tenant because City Hall has never had the power to choose tenants for private landlords. It's not a power that's afforded to City Hall. That is what it is. The trouble is, on this side of Bathurst Street, around Kensington Market, on Dundas and on Spadina and on College, large format retail, larger development is actually forecast and promoted through the official plan policies of the city. The Loblaws that's on College Street, which could be about 19,000 square feet, is a permitted use. We don't have the ability, as a City Hall, once we've said 19,000 square feet is permitted, to simply say, no, you can't do it. If they had simply bought the Buddhist temple and converted it into a grocery store and left the parking lot on College Street, it would have been 100% legal. They wouldn't have had to come to City Hall to get much more than a building permit. So we have limited powers on this side of Bathurst Street. So City Hall has got to make some changes, and that's what we've been doing. We've been working with the BIA, who's here today. We've been working with the Residents Association to make some changes to how Kensington is formatted, and also how the surrounding streets are. For example, Spadina and College Street have been taken away from the tall building guidelines, and we said they're not a site for tall buildings. We're still at the OMB fighting on those projects. We have a building at 245 College on the other side of Spadina, where the University of Toronto wanted to build a 42-story student residence. Except it wasn't going to be affiliated with any university. It was really a 42-story rooming house. They've taken it down to 24-story. Planning is going along with that argument, and we're having to fight them at the OMB and try to stop it. But at the OMB, the co-chair of the OMB has said, it's a university, you shouldn't stop it. In fact, not only you shouldn't stop it, you should be encouraging it. And so we're in a very precarious spot there. And if that building goes forward at 245 College, you can watch Spadina and College replicate 24-story buildings all around, and we will lose the fabric of the downtown core overnight very, very quickly. That's a problem. So what we're doing is we're getting Spadina and College studied. We're trying to get a new planning regime put in place. But for Kensington, we have an even bigger challenge. It's a mixed commercial residential neighborhood. And what we've done is we've decided, as a group, to pursue a heritage designation for the entire neighborhood. It has a federal designation, but that federal designation is a lot like the Senate. It says a lot, but it doesn't do much. What we need is a heritage conservation district like we have on Queen Street between University and Bathurst, where no redevelopment is permitted. We need a heritage conservation district like the Byward Market in Ottawa, where the historic footprints of the buildings can't be assembled into larger format retail. But we also need to bring in some controls. We need to bring in some controls about how the market functions as a historical, cultural phenomenon. Small store plates. But not just that, the way in which the boulevards are occupied by small independent companies. That has to be a community value, which is permitted only by the community. So that if Starbucks, as they did up the street with Phil Pick, want to take over one of the stores that has a wraparound boulevard, we simply say to Starbucks, you're a multinational, the neighborhood will not support that. It has to go to a poll, and the neighborhood says no. And when we said that, Starbucks left. When they started to put this building onto the market, we moved to City Hall to designate the building, but not just the building. We moved to designate the small, little, tiny stores, which are an important part of the fabric of this building and this neighborhood. We said you won't be able to assemble them. Not only that, we want the woodwork and the glasswork, which is part of the heritage of the building, preserved and protected. And as a result of that, I think that was one of the reasons, besides the huge public outpouring, it was one of the reasons why the landlord, the owner of the building, said, the This is going to be very difficult, and I will lose rent for many, many months, and that's not worth it. I'd rather keep the tenant I have, who's been here for 50 years, who pays the rent, pays the taxes, animates the street corner, and has the permission and the love of the community behind them. We have to do that now for the rest of the neighborhood, and that's what we're leading at City Hall on your behalf, with your PIA and with your residents association.
Can I ask, can folks come in a little bit closer, please?